I will
court.
say in his stream, I said this, that's what I said to you, but I did understand one thing that he said about not wanting to go to court, where he was like, that's how people's like information gets leaked and stuff like that. Because going back to the Anthony Edwards situation, Yahoo saying, oh, we got your court documents. How did they get that? It got leaked,
Yeah.
probably by somebody that worked at the courts and is trying to get a payday or whatever. But it's like, that actually is a valid point. Like, people's information, obviously, especially celebrities, does
And you
get
don't even. Alright. I'm Nani.
And I'm Ann.
Join us on Law and Order as we unpack the hottest topics, trending lawsuits, and media buzz.
Take a listen as we cut through the noise to reveal facts and what's really going on.
Tune in for sharp insights and a fresh take on today's stories.
Follow us everywhere for your dose of lore.
She got it this time, y'all. She got it this week. She got it. She got it. She got it.
Yeah, I think I disassociated like in the middle last time. I was just randomly like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be saying something.
When I'm going back and like editing, I can literally see us disassociate.
Yeah,
Because we'll like pick up something and like move or we'll like do something. Any life updates since last time?
Any life updates? I feel like all my life updates have to do with, getting married and stuff like that. But I guess that's just a season of my life right now. We got a cake.
Ooh, what flavor?
Oh my gosh. What's it called? Snickerdoodle.
Ooh.
Right? No, we found
that's some very DMV. That's very DMV.
This
that's so DC.
bakery that his mother like put me onto. And so me, my mother, my grandmother, his mother, I think his sister, we all went to the bakery and everybody got cupcakes. So my grandmother like hit me up. She was like, those the best dang cupcakes I ever had. Like, everybody loved the cupcakes. I was like, all right, let me eat them. Those white ladies know how to bake, like, best cupcakes ever.
Which bakery was it?
It's called, I gotta look it up. I do not remember the name. But it's in Waldorf.
Me and my mom, we used to watch.
They were on Baking Wars or something like that.
Yeah, me and my mom, we used to watch it.
There's whatever show.
There's a place in I don't know. I don't think it's there anymore. Even though the sign and everything is still there, it was a place called Sweet Lobby. They won. They had a pistachio cupcake. Oh my God, it was so good. I haven't had them in years though.
I had a snickerdoodle. They have like a strawberry crunch. They have a butter pecan. My grandmother loved that one. They have a sweet potato one. They have like that's so good.
There's this place in where is it? I think it's in like College Park. It's called Sugar Vault. They have like sweet potato pie cupcakes. It's real like if you want diabetes, you want to go to this place. It's like caked up. It's like a peach cobbler cupcake. That's where I'm going for my boyfriend's birthday.
Oh, that's where you're getting like all the different snacks.
Yeah, I'm getting his cup. Oh yeah, I did say yeah. Okay, he probably isn't, or I don't know. He might watch this. I don't know. But for his birthday, I'm gonna get like all of his like favorite desserts because he has the craziest sweet tooth ever. It's insane. So I'm gonna get him, like, he loves McDonald's chocolate chip cookies, so he's getting those. I'm debating on whether or not I want to get him like snickerdoodle cookies from Iverson, only because I got them for him for Valentine's Day. So the chocolate chip cookies, the cupcakes, probably like a cinnamon bun, and then I know his mom is gonna get him a bundt cake. His mom
nothing but cakes.
Yeah. His mom gets him a red velvet bundt cake. Yeah. So he's just gonna have like an array of desserts. Yeah, that's what he's getting for a part of his birthday.
I'm trying to think anything else. I did a foot peel the other day, and once it fully peeled, I went and got a pedicure, and I just feel like my feet are so soft. Like, I don't think they've been this soft since I was in the womb. Like, they just feel so good.
The only downfall about that, because I've done that so many times, the only downfall about it is like if you try to walk a long distance, you can tell that like you don't have skin on your feet. I'm screaming. You're like, oh, where's my little protective barrier? Like it's gone. Like my feet always like I cannot walk a long distance after I get like
maybe it's the shoes too.
Well, no, because usually it's fine. Like if it's the same shoes, I don't like rotate shoes that often. I'm not big on like doing that. So like whenever I like just freshly get my feet done, I can always like tell. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like sensitive about that. But like maybe. I don't know, but like it's really in the summertime that I can tell.
Yeah,
because sandals and stuff.
I hate walking in sandals. Really? No support.
No support. Yeah, no ankle support at all.
I'm like, I feel like I'm walking on the ground. But
Our other life update. Aunt and I discovered that we both had an addiction to soda. Yeah. When I first got to college, I was addicted to soda. I always had one on me, and then it was so funny because like I would go to class and like I would always have like a ginger ale, and like in my head, ginger ale. It was like water because I was like, it's not a soda. This is healthy. But I'm like, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I was getting sodas because my mom never had sodas in the house. Yeah. Like, she always wanted to make sure that, like, oh, when I got to college, I wasn't, like, super obsessed with, like, alcohol. So, like, I had did, like, the whole teenage alcohol thing. Like, we had, like, throwing parties. We had, like, our own president or whatever. So, like, I just wasn't excited about alcohol. Like, I barely drank when I first got to college. Like, I barely even went out. But sodas?
Yeah, no, my mother was like that too. Because when we were a kid, she would water it down with water.
Really?
Yeah.
Your sodas?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't
but the thing is, we were only seeing soda when we went to like family parties or something. There was never any soda in the house. And when we did, she would see us with it. She like, pour some water in that, put some water in that, like really dilute it. So when I first got to college too, I was like, oh my gosh, like in a dining hall. And I went to UCLA. UCLA has like the top dining of any college. Like I think that's we're ranked number 1 in that kind of stuff. Like if you went to UCLA or you want to know something about UCLA, the food, there's so many options, there's so many everything, and it's just like I was just on soda. I was on soda crazy, and then I started breaking out. And I'm not a person that breaks out. It, like my skin is pretty like fine. So then I started breaking out, and I was like, oh, I got chill. So then I just was doing water and like Gatorade and stuff like that.
I had water. So when I had tried to, cause I started breaking out as well. So I was like, okay, let me cut this addiction loose. I was like, okay, I'm only gonna drink water. Like I'm not gonna have any sugar. And whenever I would crave sugar, I would eat frozen cotton candy grapes. Like
that's such a good idea.
The cotton candy grapes that you get from like Wegmans or something like that. Because there was a girl in my comment who was like, "It's still sugar." She was like,
"I get some cotton candy grapes from Wegmans."
Yes, because it was this girl in my comments, and she was like, "Oh, cotton candy grapes is still sugar because they put cotton candy on it." And I was like, "You dumbass! Like it's cotton candy flavored grapes." Everybody in the comments was like, "You clearly don't know what you're talking about. Get out of the comments." So she never even responded back, and I felt bad about it. But I'm screaming. Come on, like
now they really put cotton candy in the grapes
because no, they be doing stuff like that. Like when they like candy like the fruits and like the pineapples. And, like, the
like that makes
like
my
that.
Teeth hurt. Like
I don't like that. But if you are trying to cut sugar, cotton candy grapes, they will be your best.
Because I have a really bad sweet tooth too, and I'm trying to like cut back a lot because I be snacking. Like he'll give me for all the time because I'll come home and I'm like, I want to eat a bowl of ice cream. He's like, you're going to ruin your dinner. Don't do it. And so I did it. And then after that, I don't do it anymore because I was like, fuck it. I was like, damn, he right. Did ruin my dinner.
And the reason why I say make sure they're frozen because like for whatever reason, when they're frozen, they're sweeter. I don't know why, but like if you get any grapes, anytime you freeze them, for whatever reason, they're sweeter. But like cotton candy grape, it will literally feel like you just sugar, but it's just grapes.
I'm gonna try that.
It's so
I'm gonna
good.
tell him that today.
Is he going to Wegmans today?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Wow. That's so
we try to do our stuff on like Sunday, like grocery shopping and stuff like that. No. And you know he mainly cooks, so he got to go there to cook.
Chef Boyardee.
Even though I should be cooking today because like he's supposed to do it the days I go into work, and I do it the days I don't.
What you be cooking?
Yeah.
No, what you be cooking?
Oh, you said what? I can cook a lot of different things, but I was telling him my mother told me how to cook when I was like 10, 11, 12, whatever. And after that, she set me up for failure because I had to cook from then on. Mind you, I have 2 older siblings. She taught my older brother how to cook, but even then, maybe it's because I'm a girl or whatever, but I started cooking like breakfast, lunch, and dinner like for my siblings. Ooh. I was cooking food for everybody in the house, like my siblings and my parents. So at times, I'm making like a household of 8 people food like every single day after school, after high school, all this other stuff. Like, oh, what did Anthony cook? Anthony, did you cook that, whatever. Like, I remember when I first started cooking, my mother would be like, I was like, is it done? And she was like, do you think it's done? And I'm like, she would never, I'm like, I'm going to kill all y'all. Like, you need to tell me. I'm like, I'm new. You need to tell me if it's done. But anyway, because I think because I cook so much, like once I got to college and I got into an apartment, or even now, I feel like that's why I don't want to be cooking. Like, I feel like I cooked so, like how people will be like, oh, I don't like this food because I had it so much growing up. The fact that I had to cook all the time for so many people, like the food groups and this and always watching food and all this other stuff, it's just like, I'm like, I don't even.
Yeah,
like,
it
I don't
just
even
completely turns you off.
Like,
But
it turns me off.
I'm the same way. Like, I really don't like to cook, but for a different reason. I'm an only child, so like my mother was like, she tried her way of like forcing me to cook was like her like just stop cooking at all. But she didn't realize that like I really didn't care about food like that. So like I was just like, okay, well I'll just eat Frosted Flakes and I'll like walk to the Subway that's like 5 minutes away, and then I'll just eat noodles. That was like that was my whole cuisine from like the time I was like 12 to like 18. I mean, of course she cooked sometimes, but like now when I get in the kitchen and like I can cook, it just gives me so much anxiety. Like I'm like, oh my God, there's a mess right here, there's a mess right here. And you know, like you can clean when you cook, but I'm just like, like, and then I'm like, does it even taste good? Like I cook for my boyfriend now and he eats it and he likes it, but I'm just like, I don't know. Like I don't even really like to eat my food because even if it does taste good, I'm just like, I just put so much work into this. I don't want to eat this shit. Like
I don't have that specific issue. But I feel like once I get into, like, the thought of it, like, I'm just like, oh, I feel like doing this. But once I get into it, it'll be fine. But it takes a lot for me to cook, but I'm just like, all right, like, I guess.
Yeah, okay, so we still have a couple questions. Okay. Somebody asked us about, like, growing up in D.C. I feel like growing up in D.C. was, like, I think it was one of the best things that like best choices that happened to me because I was born in Florida, and I think from like 4 to 5, I think like either 4 or 5 we moved up here. Like I don't remember finishing kindergarten in Florida, but I definitely remember starting grade school up here. So I don't know when I moved up here. I just know definitely by first grade I was up here. I just feel like it made me so different because like even when like I talk to like my cousins now. I have a cousin. She looks exactly like. Well, she doesn't look exactly like me, but like we look like we're related. I was like, she had posted a picture of her. She looked cute, and I was like, instead of telling her she looked cute, you know, in DC we banter sometimes very aggressively. So I was just like, "Oh, you so lucky you look like me," and she was like, "Bitch, what the fuck you mean?" By I'm like, "Whoa, like, oh my God, you don't know how to hang." Yeah. Like, oh no, you're
getting weird. Is you cool?
Weird. Like, is you cool? Obviously not. But like, it's just like when you grow up in DC, like we are our own world. It's not the North. It's not the South. It's definitely not the South. I don't care what nobody say. It's just like it's like a nice like middle ground. We're so like different.
Yeah,
it's so different.
I love growing up in DC, especially being surrounded by like so many Black people. I was saying this yesterday. I thought it was only 2 races of people. Like I thought it was only Black people and white people, and I thought it was. I know about white people because I learned about them in school. I wasn't seeing them on a consistent basis at all. I didn't have a white teacher until I was in high school. Like my 8th grade history teacher.
Who?
Any of the white teachers.
Did you have?
Yeah, in 10th grade. And 9th grade. I actually had him every year, and he's my debate coach.
For real? Oh, yeah. Okay.
But yeah, so those were the first like white teachers I had. But what was I about to say? Oh, my 8th grade history teacher literally told us, our class, that the white man did not have the balls to build this country, so that's why they had slavery. Like, it was very like authentic and like not holding back conversations about race. Like we did the Negro National Anthem every morning. Like when I was in elementary school and stuff like that, it was so like normalized to be surrounded by Black people and to learn about Black history and all this other stuff. Like when I went to college and I learned that like, especially California's curriculum, like the mission projects, that was crazy. And it was just interesting seeing people learn about stuff that I learned about when I was like in 1st grade.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you didn't know this? You didn't know this? Like, but not in a way that's like, but now I understand like that was a privilege. Like, not that I'm trying to talk down on them. I just thought this was happening all over the country.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, dang, y'all went to school with like, I didn't go to school with non-Black people until college, like at all. Like my schools were always like 100% Black populated.
Mine were not. When I first got here, I had Black teachers. There was an elementary school right next to McKinley called Hyde. Girl.
HYDE?
Yes. Yeah. Child, Hyde was bad as fuck. Got shut down. So that was like where I spent like 2nd and 3rd grade. It's actually where like I met like my best friend now. And I would always be with like her and her mom, and we would always be like up Howard. Like I was just always just like with black people. And then, well, I mean, that's the only people that you can be with in DC for real, especially around that time. But I remember like 4th and 5th grade, I took African drumming, and I was just like, that's normal. And like we learned how to do like go-go music. We learned how to play the kinkening. It's like a little African drum. The doom it's like the doomba. I don't know. I can't remember the names of it, but like I feel like DC is so black. It's so wrapped up in different black
Have you been to Frederick
experiences.
Douglass's house?
I know. I never been, but like
we go there all the time on field trips.
Really?
Yeah, like all the time.
I know, and
especially because it was close. Like I went to like catch him and stuff like that. Like it's down the street from there.
Have you ever been to the Blacks and Wax Museum?
I don't know.
Let me tell you something. If you think that, because I know when the African American Museum first got built, everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. It make you cry." If you want to cry, you go to the Blacks and Wax Museum because they have everything that happened to black people in wax figurines, and it will like.
No, the
you gotta go, though.
That
you
museum
gotta go.
Made me angry. I remember the first time I went. I think it was like my 2nd year. I think I came back from college.
The Frederick Douglass?
No, the
African American Museum.
Yeah. When I tell you, I went on a Twitter rant. Like I was so angry. I was just like, nah. And I was like, this type of stuff isn't for me because when I already learned about it, this is for other people. I don't need to be subjected to.
It's so filtered.
Yeah,
it's really a filtered version of history. I really don't like the African American Museum that's right there because it's not like.
No, I'm saying I like learning about it all over again. Like triggers me. Like it makes me angry all over again. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say another thing about growing up in DC. Oh yeah, I feel like people in DC are like very open to giving you like compliments and stuff like that. Like you'll be walking down the street and a girl will be like, "Oh, you are so pretty." Like
yes. And
it's just like that over here. So going to when I was like in California, and people are like weird. It's like they don't want to give you. And they hate that word weird. Like that's like calling somebody all the terrible names in the book. Like they hate that word.
It do get weird though.
It do get weird.
It do get weird. But
crazy,
like,
scary, spooky, hilarious.
Whenever my first video that ever went viral, it was this girl talking about how she was in DC for her birthday and she was just walking down the street and everybody was just complimenting her. And I was just like, that's literally DC.
Yeah.
Like people do not have a problem with telling you that you're pretty. As a matter of fact, when I went to Puerto Rico, I was just like, me and my best friend, we was just like walking around this like little square. They call it Las Pasitas. It's like U Street, but in like the version of like a square or whatever. And we was just walking around and some girls was like, "Oh, y'all are so pretty." We was like, "Thank you." And then we started talking. They was from DC. That's literally just how like we all connect. It's so magnetic. Like I know a lot of. I feel like it's the greatest city in the world. Like I don't care what New York
do feel that way too.
I don't care what nobody said. Like,
I feel that way
this is
too.
one of the greatest cities in the world because
like,
I know
be DC.
Yeah, I know people feel like DC like the monuments, but it's like that's such a very small portion of DC. Like I couldn't tell you much about the monuments. Like I did it in like 3rd grade, like just for field trips.
I actually didn't do it until I was an adult. Like go see a whole bunch of this stuff.
Really?
But people in DC are living different lives. There was this TikTok of like
I know what you're talking about.
The white people, and they're like, "Oh, average DC couple," and I was like,
like
"No, this is an average transplant white working on the hill DC couple."
Because I feel like me and my boyfriend are like the average DC couple, like for the average DC couple because DC is a small town.
Yeah,
like the average DC couple, like y'all grew up with each other. Y'all grew up with each other. Y'all went to elementary school. Y'all went to middle school. Y'all went to high school, and y'all reconnected at some point. Like that's really. I
know a lot of people from high school that ended up together.
Yeah, like that's really the average story. That like you just.
Yeah,
you found somebody a long time ago, and then like, cause then you or either like you found somebody cousin, somebody auntie, and then like you figured out that like, oh, I know you through this so and so. Like it's just like DC really is a small town. It's a big city, but it's a small town, and that's why like a lot of people like when the black transplants when they come here and they're like dating in DC is so hard. It is because you're not from this small town. Like you moved to a big city thinking it was a big city and it is a small town. Like
people know each other.
Yeah, we operate very like intersocial with each other. The only way that I really meet new people is through other people that I already know. So if you're moving to a city where you don't know anybody or either that person is also a transplant, you're gonna have a very hard time meeting people in DC.
Yeah, because you're gonna feel. I feel like you would come and feel like it's cliquey. Like everybody already knows each other. It's like people have known each other for years. But I don't think it's like impossible.
Yeah, it's not impossible.
Yeah,
you just gotta find your other transplants.
Yeah, you gotta go to stuff.
Yeah.
Talk about growing up in DC.
Okay, yeah.
And some recent DMV news.
15-year-old got dragged by a hairstylist.
18-year-old hairstylist.
18-year-old hairstylist. They're both super young.
Yeah.
That's why the situation is so unfortunate. But so okay, trying to recount the story from what I know it as. The girl, her name is Jayla Amore. Her name is Jayla Cunningham. She has, prior to this situation, she did go viral before for fighting a girl in a salon that tried to run out on her for not, having payment. So I guess this time she thought she could do the same thing. The girl, she finishes the hair. It's time to pay. She says that, I only accept Cash App. I don't accept Apple Pay. So she's like, okay, well, my brother's going to Cash App you. The brother sends the Cash App to the wrong Cash App. So then she tries to, this is what the sister said. The sister said that in a moment of like just trying to figure out what was happening, she went to go sit on the steps, so which is by the door, and I guess the girl saw her and dragged her out. Now that's what the sister said online. So we don't, because the cameras cut when she was trying to, you can't see her actually run out. All you see is like her dragging her back down to the salon, like she's dragging her on the floor by the hood of her sweater. She's 15. You can tell that she's 15. Like the second I saw the video when she put the camera in her face and was like, yeah, you just tried to run out, blah, 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 blah. You could tell that she was young. And I was like, well, why isn't she fighting back? Like, she just really finna go like that? I was like, okay, this is weird. So, at first it was like, dang, that 15-year-old just tried to run out. Yeah. Like, at first I wasn't necessarily defending an adult putting their hands on her because the girl is still a teenager. I will say that. But I was like, well, two parents dropped off a 15-year-old and didn't give her the money to pay for it. Everybody's trifling. Turned out she did have the money. And then what made the situation even more worse is that the hairstylist had the opportunity to charge the card that was paid with the deposit to begin with. So and then she posted it online. So
like you posted your own crime. So she has been charged with second-degree assault. In Maryland, second-degree assault is a misdemeanor. In order to prove second-degree assault, the prosecution has to prove she had the intent to frighten, attempted battery, or battery. Only one of these need to be proven for a conviction, and it's probably going to be a fairly simple case because you can see the battery. Like, you can see, like, you posted the video.
What is battery?
So battery, and this is why it's important to look at specific jurisdictions, because generally assault is essentially putting someone in the fear that you are going to harm them or they could be harmed. Like, if I put like a gun to your head, even if I don't shoot it, or if it's like not touching you, all this other stuff, that would be assault, making you fear that I'm going to hurt you. And battery is when you actually do like an unlawful, harmful touching or whatever. But apparently in Maryland, like, this is second-degree assault though. It's not as intense as first-degree assault, which happens if someone commits one of the crimes of second-degree assault, like with a firearm or with the intent to cause serious harm. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, but it's not a felony. It's a misdemeanor. It's punishable by up to 10 years in prison and a fine of $2,500. However, this is the maximum penalty, and for first-time offenders, it is extremely rare to see the maximum penalty apply in cases revolving around second-degree assault. But I don't know, that video, like we were talking about the Dank Demos woman and how she went on like the
Breakfast Club.
Yeah, Breakfast Club, and how that couldn't hurt her case. This girl posting that video, like that is something that hurts her case. Like, that's actual. And then
like, all of
evidence.
The TikTok videos and TikTok lives that she did after that, like pretty much standing her ground, that probably could really hurt. Because she was, at first she apologized, and then she was.
Now they're like, they have to send a message.
Huh?
The court?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was like, it was just like she dug her own grave. Like, you posted the video. The whole time you could have just charged the card. You did like, and then you went on like an apology tour, and then you rescinded the apology tour, like, and then went on the news. Bruh. Like, are you?
That was, I think part of it was crazy because people online were talking about oh, they shouldn't have charged her, and like they doing too much, they blah 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 blah, whatever.
Yeah, somebody was like they shouldn't have taken it out of DC.
She assaulted her. Like people are arguing whether or not she should have pressed charges. She did assault her. Like point blank period. Like that is what the law. They're like, oh, we could talk all the time about what she should or should not have done with the other girl and her family in terms of like the charging, but it's like you can't just go around putting your hands on people. And I think people really need to learn that, like
minors,
even in general, because I think with you know, baddies and it's been common to post fight videos, you know, World Star, all that other stuff. But it's like, okay, well, what happens now when I can sue you?
Yeah,
you can we're well, the little girl wasn't, but we're adults here. Like you're gonna get in serious trouble. Like you can't just fly off the handle.
Yeah.
And also, one little fun fact I wanted to add is it's interesting that this happened in Maryland because in Maryland, to do hair, you don't have to have a license. Like you don't have to be licensed to practice hair. However, in DC, you do. So that's why a lot of people or a lot of hairstylists and stuff will like work in Maryland.
Yeah.
Because they are not licensed.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I know people already started reporting her for not being licensed or whatever, but I guess it really won't make a difference. But like, do you think that she will get, well, I hope that she, I feel like this situation is so like, because she is 18 and like I know in like the eyes of like the law she is an adult, but like at the end of the day they still are both teenagers. So what do you think the punishment would be?
Well, because it's a misdemeanor, she's gone. If she were to get time in general, she would not have a year. She would have less than a year and have to pay a fine. Yeah. Like it said, it depends on what judge she has. It depends on if they're trying to send a message. It depends on all these other factors. But it's not going to be hard for the prosecution to prove that she assaulted her, especially with the video. Like, and especially all her presence online, all this other stuff. Because I'm like, what defense would that like her side even have? She might just go with a plea deal. To be honest, I definitely don't see this going to court or anything like that. But she's probably gonna have to plead guilty because it's like,
you did it.
You did it.
We saw it on camera, and you said you've done it multiple times.
Yeah,
like
you have this history, all this other stuff. Because the thing is, that stuff is important. Like, do you have a history of doing this? Do you whatever? And it's like, girl.
Like we done seen it once before, and then
like your first thing was to resort to violence. Your first thing should have been to take it from the card that she used to pay the deposit, not have it posted.
And then she refunded them back the money.
Yeah.
So like, girl, you could have just kept your money because I remember she did live. She said I never even made my money off of it. You could have though. You could have charged that card the whole time, and you could have charged the card the whole time because that is the point of having a deposit and having a card on file. Yeah. Like that is literally the entire point. But like I also just feel like it's really just so fucked up. I don't know, maybe I'm just a forgiving person, but like at the end of the day, like she is 18, so hopefully like she don't get like in too much trouble.
Not developed.
Yeah, but like
it's like
at the end of the day, like people saying stuff like, "Oh, social media made this stuff bigger." No, it didn't. That is somebody's child. Those parents were probably pressing charges, even if the video didn't get out, because the girl called the police. When there's a point in the video where like she posted on social media, the girl sitting like literally standing between two police officers. So that's probably when charges were filed, because like regardless, well, I can't speak about it in this specific situation, but I know there are situations where like if police pull up because there has been an incident, regardless of if you want to press charges or not, if you tell an officer that this happened, they will say like, okay, well, these charges are now being pressed. Like regardless, like my best friend, I'm gonna say she got into a situation or altercation where like her and her significant other were outside, like just being very rambunctious, and like it came down to like, you know, just like a lot of back and forth. And then they both like the police officer pulled up, and then like, you know, she was trying to just like communicate with the officer that like, oh, this and this happened, but oh, I don't want them to go to jail. And the officer was just kind of like, well, this and this happened, so this person has to go to jail now.
Yeah, because there's a difference between for certain crimes you can press charges. Like it's you against them, like in a civil case. But there's also the government is like prosecuting you, like, oh, you did this crime. It's you versus the government,
state government, right?
It depends on what you did. Oh, yeah. So and like where you did it, like you get charged for a crime in like multiple places, all this other stuff. Yeah, so it's like you know,
it's just
you really get in trouble.
I mean, like, digging your own grave like this at 18 is...
I think the internet is... Like, I think people act crazy on the internet, which I feel like leads us into our next topic. About
getting doxxed.
Yeah. There was, like, a situation where the guy who's, like, an influencer, and I think he's, like, a therapist and stuff like that, like, he was getting doxxed, and I think he made a video along the lines of, like, oh, like, this is, like, my real life, and you guys are doing this, blah, blah, whatever. I think as a professional, like, because he is a therapist, like, he's a licensed therapist, I believe. So it's like, as a professional, I feel like there's some ways that you should not interact on the internet. Like, I'm not gonna lie, if I saw my therapist like on TikTok getting in arguments with people and being petty and this and this, I would be like, oh, let me cancel that next appointment because do I want you, being my therapist and you act like this? Not saying that therapists shouldn't be humanized or anything like that, but there's a certain trust you have with certain professionals that it's like, you need to separate. Like, if I was online, getting in fights, doing crazy stuff, showing I do illegal stuff, all this other stuff, do you think people gonna trust me to be their attorney? No. Like, but I don't agree with doxing at all. I think like people who do that, because I'm pretty sure it's illegal. No, it is illegal.
Yeah, it is illegal.
And I'm just like, I think telling the whole internet where like someone lives or all this other stuff is insane. Well, like, because you're trying to harm them. Like, well,
what's also crazy is like, because I know that like Nicki Minaj, like the Barbs, like whatever, like they were getting in trouble for doing it like a lot. When I can't even remember what was happening. It was like Nicki versus, I don't know, Megan Thee Stallion, I don't know. But I know a lot of her fans have doxed people in the past. And like the craziest thing about doxing people, the same way that you can find out all of someone's information, they can find out the same information about you, and now you dox them. So now you finna have to, face whatever legal charges come with that. Because like you can't, like, I think this goes back to like our first episode when we were talking about how like even if you do not post something on like social media, I mean, people can still find out a great deal about you just by like your name, especially like in today's age where like we live so much of our lives like on the internet, especially if you are an influencer. Yeah. You think that you're giving somebody just one small little detail about you, one small little piece of lore, and then they can piece that together with another piece of lore, and now they know your name, they know where you were born, the time you were born, like they know sometimes people can find out everything about you, and like it's yeah, it's just that. And then, but like, especially going back to when you said something about like corporate professionals, like I think like any professional, like if you just are somebody who like, your corporate job is like the world to you, then maybe you should not be pissing people off on the internet.
Yeah, like I feel like you can have internet presence, but like
don't be mean.
Yeah, don't be mean.
Watch what you say.
That's why when people be in my comments trying to do too much, I'm like, I really have to think about how I'm going to respond. Because I'm not trying to do something that could get me in trouble or that pisses that person off enough to go further. Because I've had a situation where...
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I can talk about this. I made a sorority mad. And
the entire
sorority. It was a joke. And Greek people be saying stuff all the time like, oh, like, the little things we say. They got so mad at me. They were so angry. Someone found my Instagram off of my TikTok, found my fiance's Instagram. He was my fiance at the time, and then doctored DMs between them. And then DM me or was calling to myself. It was like DM me like, oh, isn't this your fiance's name? And like he be in my DMs. So I'm over here like, okay, I'll bite. So, because I'm a girl, so at the end of the day, I always say, like, if anybody ever found out, like, something going on, like, tell me. Like, since I was younger, I was like, I don't want to be in the dark.
Oh, don't come to me.
I'm scared. Okay. Don't tell me shit. Okay, so they were like, they sent the screenshot, And I'm like, okay, well, when did this happen? It was like 3 messages. And it was like, apparently, like, he did some pickup line, whatever. So anyway, the thing is, I was like, oh, when did he send this? And they were like, today. I feel like maybe you would have got me if you didn't say the messages to today. You telling me I just got in beef with y'all and my boyfriend is DMing one of y'all the next day. So mind you, I'm asking questions. I'm like, okay, when did this happen? I'm like, oh, how do y'all know each other? They like delete their account, whatever. Because it was already a fake account. Like it had 0 followers. Like they created it that day. So of course I asked him, I'm like, you know any blank? He was like, no, like only my aunt. And I was like, what's this? But yeah, so they were fake. Like if they would have been like, I'm like, y'all not smart. Because if you would have been like, oh, this was 3 months ago, this was 6 months ago, this was whatever, I would have been more likely to be like, oh my gosh. Like, but if you telling me today, you telling me he hit you up today and said this don't even sound like him. But I'm telling you, these the screenshot look real. That's why I took it seriously. It did look real.
Yeah, that's crazy, but that's really just the length that people will go to.
Yeah, like we were saying, like the whole influencer thing, like getting dogs, like there's a lot. Like when you have a platform, I feel like you have to be very careful. And another area at which influencers aren't careful is when they repeat things that they're seeing in the media, especially when it comes to like court cases and stuff like that, or like legal jargon, whatever, that isn't necessarily true. I made a TikTok about how people were going around saying that Anthony Edwards petitioned the court to not have visitation and custody of his child.
Wasn't it like something about giving up his like parental rights or something like that?
Yeah, and it's like, first of all, in the situation, he didn't petition the court. That's what my video was trying to say. Like, a petition is the first like court filing that you do to get the lawsuit going, to get the case started. Like their case was already ongoing, so he didn't petition the court. He, I believe he fought. Was it? Well, he didn't petition the court. What they were talking about, and I really had to like look deeper in it to find out what it was. It was a snippet from a declaration, and a declaration is just like a statement that you're making to the court. It was a snippet of a declaration where he said he's not seeking custody and visitation, so the only thing left in this matter is financial. And that to me, like people were like, oh, he's saying this, like let's focus on what that's doing, because that sounded to me like the original case started because they were trying to determine paternity, and it turns out, I think in December they discovered like he is the child of, or he is the father of the child. And so now they're like, okay, now that paternity is established, that doesn't, when paternity is established, you don't automatically have visitation and have custody and all of that of your child. You have to fight for that. So that's usually how it goes. But he's saying, I'm not going to fight I'm not seeking custody and visitation. But so the only thing left is financial, because whether or not you take care of your child or like you have custody, you have visitation, you still are legally obligated to financially support them, even if you give up your parental rights. Only if they're like adopted do you not have any duties or whatever. Or like the people who drop their kid off at the fire station, like they're gone. So it's like, you're not getting, like they don't have to. But in this specific case, that's what's going on.
And that also doesn't mean that like he will not be in the child's life. It just means that like as far as like visitation, and because like he could show up to a birthday party, right? Yeah, but it also could be saying they don't specifically have to work that out. Yeah, but I'm from whatever, we don't know what's going on, but I'm just saying he don't want nothing to do with that lady. Yeah, we're not arguing that he is trying to be in child life and all the other stuff. Yeah. No, I'm just saying what that specific sentence means is just that people want to take out of context and put all these intentions and stuff behind it, when it's like, can we just look at it for what it is? Yes, all those other things might be true, but you're not getting that off of this information. I also want to make the point that I was looking into, okay, well, how did they get this information? Because
family court cases aren't public information.
Sealed, yeah.
Yeah, so I was looking at an article, and they just cited another article. So I went to that original article, and then they quoted, it was just, I got to
a bunch of articles quoting articles.
But I got to the original source, and I think it was like Yahoo or something like that. And what they said is the people at Yahoo got access to the court documents. They didn't post the court documents. They didn't say anything else. They took the whatever court documents they have, and whether or not they have the court documents hasn't been verified. We're just trusting their word. They said they just put a sentence of a declaration out in the public. So it's like, y'all don't know what the whole document's saying. You don't know all this other information, the rest of the context behind it. These sources are just telling you to trust them. Like, hey, I got the court documents and he said this. Not saying that they're lying, but we need to start thinking more critically about how we're getting information and how the information is being given to us. Out of all of the court proceedings, you're giving me one sentence from one declaration in this whole case. So people were like getting upset with me on TikTok because they were thinking like I'm defending him, or even some people were like, you didn't tell us, and thanks for telling us what we already knew. Like, we're not done. We're not. So first of all, I wasn't calling anybody dumb or slow. There's misinformation being spread. People don't know what's going on. People aren't saying the proper things. So it just snowballs into like rumors and all this other stuff. And it's just like, we got to think about where.
It's a nasty game of telephone. Somebody really heard something and then somebody else heard
just
something.
Just drama and drama and drama.
Dragging it out.
Yeah.
I hope that baby makes it through life really well.
Yeah, because he really messed with the first baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like they're both girls.
He has other...
Okay, so I was looking into that too, and they were like, oh, but I don't think any of those other children, the paternity was established. So it could be people saying like, oh, we have a kid together, and like, that's it.
Well, okay, because this is a very specific...
I'm not saying that's what's happening.
No. I'm just saying, like, Anthony Edwards and... Because do you know who his baby mother is?
I know what she looked like.
But do you know the lore behind who his baby mother is?
Isn't she? I know she older than him. She's, is it Chief Keef baby?
That's little baby mother.
Little baby.
She has other kids. She's... I really hate to say it like this, but she's just one of those girls that's just stacking up baby daddies. And, like, she needs... a payday, like, and I hate to say it like that, but there definitely are women out there who surround themselves around like rappers, athletes, and stuff like that. Yeah, that do stuff like that do stuff like that, so that way they can get a payday. And honestly, I think that's what Anthony Edwards. But my thing is just like, why would you do that with that lady? Like, because I mean, it take two to tango.
It does.
It take two to tango. You.
Y'all did what y'all did.
You inseminated to this lady, and then now you're in a situation where, like, because do you remember when the text messages leaked?
Yeah.
And he texted back, "I hate you." Well, he texted back, "Yes," so fast that it said "he's." She said, "Do you hate me?" He said, "He's." He was trying to say yes.
Hell yeah.
So fast because, like, I mean, obviously he didn't want to. He was
like, you're bringing a child into this world that's not gonna have a father.
Right.
Like,
but crazy. That's not the only time that happened. Do you remember Tristan Thompson? When the last kid that he had with the personal trainer, he was just like, I'm not gonna be in this child's life, so you shouldn't have it. Then why would you? I don't understand what the point is of like inseminating into someone that you don't think that they're gonna get pregnant. Like,
or you put, I don't know, I feel like there's a certain level of trust you're putting into someone. Like, oh, if you did get pregnant, then you wouldn't keep her or whatever. And it's like, have y'all had a conversation? Have y'all whatever? It's just,
no, they're not having that conversation. At the end of the day, the kids
are going to suffer. I was just saying, like, imagine having another, like, an older sister, like, oh, your father claims, like, this child into you. He just, like, doesn't claim you. Especially when it's, like, two girls. Like, I'm pretty sure it's going to be comparison. It's going to be this. But it's like, oh, that little girl. I pray for her.
I know, pray for her because she got a mama that used her as a paycheck and a daddy who was the paycheck, and
he's okay. Like, I'm not claiming the child.
Yeah,
from what we've seen.
And like, allegedly. I know for any of the men that watch this podcast, there's been a conversation around if Anthony Edwards can be the face of the league because, you know, LeBron is obviously going to step away soon. His son can't do it. He doesn't have the skills. So everybody's been looking at like Anthony Edwards and asking if like Anthony Edwards could possibly be the face of the league.
It's not looking good.
I think it is. I think his chances are still out there. I don't think fatherhood really affects these people because I know not Scottie Pippen, but not Scottie Pippen. What's the dude name? Dennis. I think it's Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman has a daughter who
on TikTok.
Yeah. She also talked about her like her dad wasn't really like in her life. Like she saw a picture of him and Angel Reese together and was like, damn, I wish that was me. Like I don't think that his chances or like his fatherhood will affect his.
It's more so his attitude because you saw the Obama video.
I think Obama like shit like that. Like I'm not gonna lie, he was like, "I'm the truth," and I feel like that's if somebody's gonna be the face of the league, it should be somebody that can look the only black president in the face and be like, "What you talking about?"
Yeah,
I don't know. I think outside of like all of this drama, I like Anthony Edwards.
Yes, I will say that things that like certain certain things that people think. And this will bring us into our next topic too. But they think, oh, this is going to hurt that person when it's like, no, the people who are in charge of making him the face of the league and all that other stuff might not care.
Yeah.
Like going into like DDG and Halle, like people will say like, oh, DDG's trying to ruin Halle's reputation, all that other stuff. You think the producers at Disney are worried about this dude making his videos and their financial worries? Like you think that's stopping her from getting jobs? Like you think DDG has that much power? I would not necessarily say
I wouldn't say the same thing either. Like, this is a Z-list. I hate to call it. I don't want to be mean and say he's a Z-list.
Yeah, we're not trying to talk about them as people.
I mean, they're definitely, like, I don't think as far as, like, I don't think he has as much influence on her career.
They have different audiences. He doesn't have influence on her.
Because even if he is somebody that, like, do you remember, like, when Halle Berry, like, you know, everybody was like, oh, Halle Berry, she crazy as shit. Like, that didn't really stop her either. People still wanted to work with her. She is still Catwoman. She's still Storm.
This isn't a Jonathan Major situation.
Yeah, like you're not gonna take that one down.
Yeah, his life, like you know.
Yeah, but going into the DDG conversation, because DDG, like, oh my God, like he can't stay off the internet. And like, if you are someone that is going through issue, if you're trying to co-parent with someone and you feel like some of the boundaries in like your co-parenting are being crossed, or like you're just not being heard as much as you don't want to, gotta go to court.
Go to court.
Take that ass to court.
Go to court.
Take that ass.
I will say in his stream, I said this, that's what I said to you, but I did understand one thing that he said about not wanting to go to court, where he was like, that's how people's like information gets leaked and stuff like that. Because going back to the Anthony Edwards situation, Yahoo saying, oh, we got your court documents. How did they get that? It got leaked, probably by somebody that worked at the courts and is trying to get a payday or whatever. But it's like, that actually is a valid point. Like people's information, obviously, especially celebrities,
and you don't even have to be like a super big celebrity, because remember the whole Love Is Blind situation?
Yeah, exactly.
That
like
got leaked
people,
too.
of course, are leaking information. Yeah. But I will say, like, I'm not specifically speaking about both of them as people, but I just feel like if you're in a situation where you're co-parenting and y'all aren't getting along, the first instance that either person may feel like, oh, this person is keeping my child away from me outside of whatever agreement we have, go to court. That's the court's job to settle that stuff. This is one of the rare circumstances where, you know, black people not seeing it as you snitching when you go to court.
I was about to say, and this is like, it's not even the fact that he's saying like, oh, I can't like see my child. He's saying that like, I can't see my child as much as I want to. So I mean, it's very different from the whole Anthony Edwards situation. But like, I mean, DDG, and it's crazy that he's saying that, because like every time we see DDG, like, Halo is in his arms. So like if he really feels like I can't see my son as much as I want to, and then Halle, he said on a stream that he and Halle live 3 hours apart. So so the whole day that like the situation happened, he took like the day off of streaming or being a content creator and wanted to go spend time with his son. So he went to Halle's house. He drove 3 hours to go to Halle's house, and then like once he got there, was with the son for a little bit, and then she kicked him out of the house. Which, like, if you are in a co-parenting situation where you and the parent are not getting along, showing up to the house is probably not the best idea. Like, even if it was agreed upon at one point, like driving 3 hours to like then go into your child, like anything could happen, and now like you feel slighted because I mean it's her house and it's not your day.
Yeah, and it's also information missing, which is like, did y'all communicate before?
Yeah.
Like, I think she posted that her and him and the baby are sick and stuff like that. I feel like at the end of the day, if you want to see your kid every single day, unless y'all got that kind of agreement, like it kind of doesn't. That's not gonna work that way because y'all aren't together. Like that's just the fact of the matter. But people were on social media saying he shouldn't have to do that. He shouldn't. Whatever. This should happen. You should be able to get your kid. Like people were so stuck on the fact that it happens. That was so stupid to me because I'm like, it don't matter if it should or shouldn't happen. It's what's happening, and you as a parent need to buckle up and proceed forward to do the best thing for that you think is for your child. I also think the whole idea of what should and shouldn't happen is kind of like dumb. Like that's why the court exists. That's why family court exists, because of situations like this.
Yeah, the other thing is like, because one of my mutuals also said that like people are comparing their norms to their situation, which like I'm not gonna say it's
the 8.
Yeah, it's not normal to necessarily be a millionaire with like a legal team. Like even though it there are people with it, but like you are comparing your parents' situation that had like a family court issue, and now you're comparing it to somebody that makes millions of dollars that has a complete legal team that can like handle all of these things like for them, and you're talking about, oh, they shouldn't have to do this because like at least he wants to be there. First of all, he's a parent. You don't get props for doing what you are supposed to be doing. You don't get props
That's
for
like when people
being
say the dad babysitting. It's like, no, you're watching your kid.
No, you're watching your child. Like you're literally watching your child. Like you are being a parent to your child. Like he doesn't get props for wanting to be a parent to his child. Like he doesn't. Like it's good that like he does want to spend more time, like especially like with all of the stigmas that especially comparing it to like the Anthony Edwards situation. Like if you want to say like, oh, it's good that like
but you can't do what you want.
Yeah, like you can't just do what you want, and like people are just like comparing it to like their norms or like societal norms or like statistics and stereotypes, when it's just like these are people, and you don't know nothing about them. You don't know nothing about the legal situation, the money that they got to back their legal situation. Like you really don't know nothing.
It just sounds like two people had a kid who had different views, because
on
that's
parenting.
Yeah, that's something you don't like. Not everybody thinks about while they're in the dating stage. Like, oh, how do you feel about posting a child online? How do you whatever? Not assuming that they didn't. Not to assume that they didn't have these conversations, but just saying like, maybe this will be a lesson for some people. Like maybe there are certain questions you need to ask somebody that you're considering being with forever.
Yes, somebody like DDG, everybody saw that coming. Like,
okay, I'll say this. I think that when it comes to these kind of situations, I feel like we know people who, or maybe people in general know people that kind of have this quote unquote storyline, or their life has moved in this direction. We know how a lot of baby mothers, a lot of baby fathers, baby mama drama. The biggest difference is her platform, she's a celebrity, connections with other celebrities, all this other stuff. So people want to make it like a talking point. I don't think that like I think that this is, all these are tales as old time.
Yeah.
Like
I would say it could have happened to anybody, but I just feel like when you're in a situation, because they're also really weird because they don't have a relationship with their parents anymore. Like as soon as they got famous,
but that's it. But then it's like, is it? But that it's so much stuff that you don't know, because it's like, how were their parents?
So much context.
So much context missing. Like you can't say like, oh, they dropped their parents after they got famous. It's like maybe their parents did something. Maybe they, maybe something happened, because they have other sisters too.
I don't know what happened. I know there was a
rumor. You gotta be comfortable not knowing stuff.
There was a rumor for a while that like the mom had like cancer or something like that, or I don't.
But you see people be making up rumors with the necromancy.
Oh my God, that was insane. Like that rumor, the whole Diddy necromancy and necrophilia thing happened as soon as we left out of this room. I'll tell you, something always happens as soon as we leave out of this room. I literally went home and I just was scrolling on Twitter. Somebody was like, oh, the lawyer got fired. Oh, it's a rumor. It's because he saw something about necromancy. But necromancy is witchcraft. Necrophilia is like...
But also that is just an assumption somebody made. Because I think somebody was like, oh, the lawyer dropped. It must be because he did the worst thing ever. I think the worst thing ever is fucking... or messing with dead. I think the worst thing ever is messing with a dead person. So this is what Diddy must have done.
I think the other thing, something that really grinds my gears is like when influencer or content creators are just saying things strictly to make like strictly for views, and like especially when it comes to very sensitive topics, because like talking about like Diddy, like when you are talking about Diddy and like you were talking about all the things that like he did, you have to remember like if he did them to somebody and there is a victim involved. And you are just saying it like just for like clicks and views. And then like when there's rumors going around, you're saying, oh, they said this. And you're getting it's like people in your comments are now reporting and saying like, oh, like they said this. And like when we're talking about like the hazing incidents that happened at Southern University with Caleb Wilson, I know there's now this rumor going around that they changed his clothes, but like I've only heard people say they said that he changed,
like,
that they
they?
changed the
Where y'all getting this information?
Like who is they?
Yeah.
Like who is they? Like it literally just started popping up in people's comments. And like even if you look at like news sources, it doesn't say where they got that from, because if you listen to the press conferences, it's not really said in the press conference like.
In the press conference, it just said that he got punched in his chest multiple times, and that's something that you could verify, like from a medical exam.
Yeah.
But I think people are just using this situation to make to justify whatever comments they had on like Greek life, on Black people, all the other stuff. And I think hazing is a very big issue, not just in D9, not just in Black Greek-led organizations, not just in Greek organizations. It occurs in employment, spaces of employment, and it literally occurs everywhere. We have a serious bullying problem in this country. I feel like that is how we lead to like school shootings and all that other stuff. Like it's a lot of bullies in this country. Like people are weird. And I think people are also using it as a time to be like, I knew, like, yeah, this Greek stuff lame, yeah, da-da-da. And I just like, that is just so heartbreaking. Like y'all, like somebody just died and y'all are over here trying to make y'all think pieces on Greek life and all this other stuff, when it's like, no, what needs to happen is y'all are having conversations that don't matter. No, conversations about why this happened and how to stop it and how we need to move forward and all this other stuff. Those are the conversations that need to be occurring. His family is grieving. These people did something horrible to him. Only one person has been charged, but it's going to be more people.
No, they've a few of them have been charged, but only one person has as
turned himself in.
Yeah, only one person has like turned himself in. So now everybody else has like lawyered up or whatever. Which I mean, you know, I feel like people are really obsessed with like barbarism. Like when we talk about like,
only one has been charged.
Only one has been charged?
Yeah, like yeah, only one.
Okay. But like just extreme like brutality and like people just like defending it or like just thinking like, oh well, he was just punched in the chest, it wasn't that bad. It killed him.
You
so
don't
it was
put
that
your hands on people.
Yeah, like, we literally just had this whole conversation. You cannot just put your hands on people because you never know where it will lead. And now in this case it led to manslaughter. And I feel like people want to treat like hazing especially as like a two things can be true type of situation where they're like, oh well, like it's not that bad, or like in some instances it's not that bad. And it really isn't like a two things can be true situation. It's really an either or situation. Either you're going to decide that like, oh, this is like a terrible thing. And I'm really saying this about like people who were Greek who are defending like, oh, well, like it wasn't like somebody said like, oh, you signed up for it or something like that. And people want to treat it well like, oh, you signed up for it. So like you kind of know that it's happening. Like,
that's,
you know,
just something so disgusting to say after somebody just died.
Yeah, like, oh, it's a rumor. Like, oh, you know, like all of these Greek organizations, like you hear the rumors about it. So like, you know that it could happen or something like that. And
that's not necessarily true because not all chapters move in the same way. I know some chapters that like be sexually assaulting people. So it's like, but not every chapter is like that. But that's not, that shouldn't be the focus of like what is going on. The focus should be something horrible happened. These people need to be held accountable and justice like for his family. Like that I feel like that's where we start. And a lot of people are using it, like I said, to like make these think pieces get stuff off. Cause somebody tweeted, they were like, oh, I always knew Greek life was lame and blah, 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 whatever. And I'm like, I feel like the implications that statement has in the context of like some young man just lost his life, somebody just lost their son, like was just so, it's like disgusting. Like people have no empathy, no sympathy. They just want, like, you're just using this as a time to get your feelings off.
Or
and, like,
yeah,
that's
like
not cool.
using it as a way to say, see, this is why like Greek life is bad, even though like there's so much like good that Greek life has like
so
done.
much good.
But it's really crazy to just it's crazy to like think about that. Like it's like your life really can just happen in like the blink of an eye, or just like a decision that you made can like happen in the blink of an eye. But what's so crazy to me is that like I do understand some of the criticism around like why people are like, at least when it comes to like chapters who like do certain things like this, because I will say Omega Sci-Fi, every time I turn around, they have like something to do with like hazing, because I know like when I first got to Morgan State, they were not on our campus. As a matter of fact, there were no Greeks on our campus because of something that they had done. And I know.
So they put the whole campus on moratorium?
Whole campus.
Oh, interesting.
Whole campus. Or no. When I got back, not when I got back. When I got there, it was everybody's first year back. And I think it started with the girls. I don't think there were. I think, no. Everybody was back except for Omega Sci-Fi. Not everybody had like active lines, but like, the cues were like, I know even like my uncle, like I have like a god uncle or something like that. Like he was a Q, and like I know that like he told me about like the the branding or something like that like he had to get. And I just feel like there are so many horror stories about like Omega Sci-Fi specifically that it does feel like something really does need to happen in that organization. And the way that they are going about the situation is so sad, because like they have not. Did they make a statement?
They definitely did.
They made a statement.
They've kind of been on it.
Okay, because I know that there was some criticism around the way that they were like handling it, and it was just kind of like, let me see. Should we read it? Okay, yeah. It is with profound sorrow that we extend our condolences on the passing of Caleb Wilson. His loss is deeply felt, and our hearts go out to his family, friends, and all who were touched by him. Caleb was more than a beloved son, grandson, brother, nephew, and cousin. He was a scholar, an exceptional member of the Southern University Marching Band, and a passionate and dedicated leader in student life. We have been informed that the local authorities have launched an investigation into this tragic incident, and we fully support their efforts to seek the truth. Currently, our foremost priority is standing in unwavering support of Caleb's family. We have extended ourselves to them and are ready to assist in any way possible during this difficult time. We recognize that many of you may have questions, and we are actively working to gather accurate information. In the meantime, we ask for your patience, your prayers, and solidarity as we honor Caleb's memory and support those grieving his loss.
I thought it was a good message.
No, that is good. Okay, I remember what the criticism about them was. It wasn't the organization itself. It was some of the members like still like going online, because I think there were people that were like posting like their probates from like the past or something like that. There were people like standing like 10 toes on like their fraternity, and they were like, "This is my pro." Like there was a lot of weird things kind of like circulating from that or from some of the members of the organization. It wasn't the organization itself. They did come out with a statement. It is a very beautiful statement, and I hope they keep their word and standing by his parents.
Yeah, I think that this can spark a very important conversation on tradition and what it looks like to keep like traditions going, or the necessity of certain traditions. Like, because I know a lot of people will feel like, oh, this was done to me, like you'll be fine, or all this other stuff, not realizing we're in a different age and different things are happening and all this other stuff. So it is very sickening that something like this has to happen for like people to get a wake-up call. Because just imagine like you're sending your kid out to go to school and learn and thrive and all this other stuff, and they die in that pursuit of education because they wanted to join the organization and they trusted the people in that organization to protect them and to lead them in a way that is safe. So yeah, I think we'll definitely be keeping up with this case. I wonder if it will be a situation where they go to court or they take a plea deal or all this other stuff. So I guess we'll see. I definitely think more people are going to be arrested.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe that dude will go down by himself, but that wouldn't necessarily, like, I don't know. We'll see what happens, because I'm just like,
I don't know. I feel like because they were all in on a lie at some point, which the lie was that, like, because this is also something that was reported, that they said that, like, oh, it was at a basketball court or like at a park or something like that. And then it turns out that they were at a warehouse, and at some point all of these people involved had to be in on this lie. But I did want to mention, because we were talking about like how this is not strictly the Greek nine. I mean the Greek nine, the divine nine. Like, this happens like all over like Greek life. In Louisiana, hazing can be a felony under the Max Groover Act, which passed in 2018. And was named after a Louisiana State University student who died of alcohol poisoning after hazing at the Phi Delta Theta fraternity house, which is not a part of the Divine Nine. So it says, under the act, if a person being hazed dies or is seriously injured, violators face up to $10,000 fine and 5 years in prison. Organizations, representatives, and officers of an organization and educational institutions can also face penalties. So this doesn't just mean the people that were involved. This means whoever was overseeing the chapter, whoever, like, you know, the school.
If they find certain things out.
It's just so sad, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate the way that people are debating about it online. It's unfortunate, like, how some of the members of the organization are really standing their ground. There was a guy that was just like,
you can admit stuff is wrong. Like,
like, you can admit stuff is wrong and still be, like, proud of your organization, all the good things in your organization. Right. But also, I think there's a time and a place when to be proud. Like, if this is not the time.
This is not the time to be like, hey, but we do good stuff too. This is not the time for that.
This is not the time for that.
Like, this is prayer and support and whatever of his family, like they put in that statement.
Yeah,
like,
this is the time
to be like, I have the best org ever, and we do this and we do that. Somebody just died. Y'all have no couth. Like, ugh.
Like, it's also not the time for you as somebody who is non-Greek to be like, see, this is why.
This is why.
Like,
this is why Greek life is bad and needs to go away, and it's lame, and y'all suck, and y'all paying for friends, and y'all getting beat up for friends, and da-da-da. Like,
it's not the time. Yeah.
People just don't know. Like, everything. It's like there has to be somebody writing a paper or thesis on this right now about think piece culture. When it's like something happens, because imagine the craziest stuff when somebody will post a picture on Twitter and somebody's quoting it with some just outrageous think piece. You'd be like, yeah, this is why I think that women need to care more about themselves and or men need to blah, blah, blah. And it's like, dang, I just posted this picture on Twitter. I thought it looked good. I thought, whatever. People post a picture of anything. Somebody will literally think piece it so bad. Like, that's why I was just like,
I'm trying to think about, like, the last, like, Twitter think piece I saw.
The Valentine's Day, the girl, she wore they went to a restaurant. Drake paid for their meal, and the girl, they took a picture. The dude posted it. He was like, oh, Drake just paid for our meal at this restaurant. And the girl, he took a picture, I think, of the food and of the girl. And the girl was wearing, like, athleisure. Mm-hmm. And people were like, became a whole thing, like, why is she wearing that to this restaurant? Why is she wearing this, da-da-da, whatever. So people were going off on her, but the dude, they're actually so funny now because, it's Valentine's Day weekend. So I think on Monday or, like, someday, the guy tweeted, he was like, I spent the entire weekend making sweet love to my beautiful girlfriend. So now I have time to address you Neanderthals. Like, he was pissed. He was like, because, people were talking mess about what she was wearing. So he was like defending her. And ever since then, she's been like she dresses very, very well. Yeah. Like she dresses well. And like, that's kind of like the whole thing. Like, oh, y'all were like talking down on her, talking about, oh, why with this expensive restaurant. Apparently it was like not last minute plans, but it was a reason behind like what she wore. But it was like, y'all just think piece the mess out of this. Like, oh, you're wearing this to this establishment. Like, you like it started getting to respectability politics and everything else. And so it was just like funny the way they like.
It's also like, well, what is expensive to you and what is fancy to you and what should be dressing up to you. Like maybe that's McDonald's for me. Like what if I think Fogo de Chao is like that's like lunch.
But it was I think it was a situation where they had a fly. I don't know. It was something.
Yeah.
But since then, like all her posts have just been fire, and it's like no, this is how she usually dress, and both of them. I think it was just funny. Like
I wouldn't do nothing but wear sweatpants after that. Like. So what? I wear sweatpants to a fancy.
He was really
restaurant.
defending her. I thought it was funny.
Really?
But
all right.
Yay!
Episode number 4.
Complete. We're beating this. We're working on beating the statistics. So it's like 76% of all podcasts don't make it like past the 7th episode. So we're halfway there. Yeah.
We are halfway.
We're gonna keep going.
Yeah. We're gonna way past 7.
Yes.
Way past 7.
Yes.
Because this
Law
is
and
fun.
Order. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, this is
like
fun
Law and Order will not, and I don't even be like too worried about like views and like. But honestly, if you're watching the YouTube video, like it, like it. Y'all be watching, and I get it because it's not. I feel like it's not intuitive. Yeah, subscribe. I get it's not intuitive to like YouTube videos because I don't normally like YouTube videos, but like the video.
Like the video.
Like the video if you're watching it. Don't dislike it.
We do get some pretty good engagement on our Instagram. Remember to ask us questions. Click the link in our bio.
Ask us questions.
Are anonymous. Your questions are anonymous. We cannot see who is asking us questions unless you put your name in the question. We cannot see. Ask us questions, like, comment, subscribe, share. If you see somebody that's like saying something about like discrimination,
wrong, be like, hey, do I have the podcast for you?
Right here, Law and Order, right here.
Yeah.
All right,
y'all.
Bye.
Bye.